getting bought rather from, and we're live on YouTube now, so shout out to everybody. We just got that all locked in. But yeah, pretty much like as we can see, um, just dealing with a lot of with the Saudis kind of buying, getting their hands on and I'm sorry about that. I'm just copying and pasting this here. But with the Saudis getting investing in SNK now, um, you know, there's just so much going on with the Saudis getting into it now. Supposedly, Capcom has had their hand in it. Capcom has had supposedly their hands in with the Saudis as well in regards to investing in. It's just a very interesting topic because with the FGC and just with gaming in general, there's always been this back and forth about, oh, you should chase your dreams and play these games, and then you have people like Tom Brady who, and I have nothing bad about Tom Brady to say, who has pretty much has said, hey, the money ain't really in gaming. And mind you, Tom, they kind of, when it comes to anything that Tom Brady says, is this old man yelling at the cloud thing where it's like, oh, we're you're an old man. Why are you still talking about gaming? You're just a grumpy old man. Get out of here. Why are you yelling at about nothing? And with that, I feel like with Tom Brady's point, it's a valid point, and I just think because it's not the person that they want to say the point of, hey, like if you're gonna chase this, like there's some things that come with it. Like there comes, you have your sponsorships that don't have that long of a contract, or the pots aren't as good as people believe them to be. I think a lot of people kind of just get mad at Tom for saying that when in theory he's actually right. like I don't know what else to like for people to think or get mad or anything, because it's not like he's wrong about it. Like he's giving a valid point. Like, and I think he's totally right. And that's just my honest opinion. But let me get the article pulled up, just so that we can, y'all can take a look and see what's going on here. But let me just get that here. Just bear with me one quick second as I'm pulling that up. So let's just see here. So, as I pull up my window, and then we're gonna get into some gameplay. I've been playing. I have not really played much. I really wanted to play Shinobi Art of Vengeance, so I'm gonna play that for a little bit. Just like a little. This is just a little test stream, kind of to get back into the swing of things and get accustomed to just streaming again on a regular basis, whether I'm talking or whether I'm playing, either one or other. So shout out to everybody for the support for sure. But let's get into this here. So let me show my screen. Let me get myself off the camera so y'all can see more frequently what's going on. So y'all can see what's going on. So this is from the Esports Advocate. This was a tweet that was sent out in regards to the EVO acquisition. But Kadia, I'm gonna assume that's how it's pronounced. Kadia or Kidia. I'm gonna say it's Kadia. Fully acquires Evolution Championship Series organizer RTS. News follows an announcement in late August that the Saudi Arabian government Mega City project bought a stake in RTS. So, as I'm reading from this article again from the Esports Advocate, Saudi Arabia Mega City Project Qiddiya has taken full ownership of tournament organizer RTS, according to a social media post. The news was first made public by Qiddiya Chief Strategy Officer Mohamed Alderwood in a post on LinkedIn. Financial terms of the acquisition were not disclosed. RTS is best known as the organizer of the popular fighting game championship series Evolution Championship Series, which everybody knows as EVO. On August 31st, it was announced that India-based Nodwin Gaming has acquired Sony Interactive Entertainment stake in EVO for an undisclosed amount, with the company moving from an ownership role to becoming a sponsor of the event. Of course, which is kind of crazy because I feel like Sony's turnaround from owning it to now selling it is pretty quick. In that same announcement, Qiddiya announced that it has invested an undisclosed amount in EVO co-owner RTS. And then this is the article. Then they have an additional article about Nodwin buying Sony. Kadia served as a global partner of EVO in 2024. It is unclear if Kadia had already closed the full transaction at the time this news was reported, as the company did not indicate it had taken full ownership of RTS. Excuse me. In case you are not familiar with Kadia, it is a megacity project backed by the Saudi Arabian government-owned sovereign wealth fund, the Public Investment Fund. In his social media post, Alderwood thanked all the people that helped make the deal happen. He says here, and I quote, "Excited to share that Kadia has acquired full ownership of RTS, a strategic step that will further strengthen our esports business and unlock new opportunities across the border gaming ecosystem. And most importantly, this will enable Kadia to keep fueling the continued growth of Evolution Championship Series, the world's largest fighting game event since 1996 with unlimited potentials. This milestone paves the way for setting new heights in the evolution of EVO toward achieving the aspirations of the fighting game community. Grateful to our incredible team, Stephen Roberts, Omar El Sayed, Mike Milanov, Rocky Kanuja for their dedication, along with the outstanding leadership of Stuart Saul, Kim Fan, and Rich Thayer. Also special thanks as well to our valued partner and true friend, Askat Rati. Both Kadia and Nodwin opened up offices in New York City this year to conduct business with North American companies. Projects backed or owned by the Saudi Arabian government, such as Kadia, are frequently criticized for helping the government engage in sports washing or using various forms of entertainment to cover up its record on human rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, military actions in Yemen, and much more. These and other criticisms have been highlighted by international watchdog groups such as Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch. Yeah, sorry that my mic had an issue, but pretty much I had accidentally muted my mic. But to kind of get back to my thoughts on this whole thing, and I'm gonna read some cold tweets as well. Let me put my camera back on while I read these tweets because this is interesting to me. All right. So the first tweet, of course, is from Sonic Fox. Sonic Fox says, I have a personal life goal that I've been dedicating to myself to when it comes to EVO, and I plan to see it through. I will not be erased, even if it means I'm the only voice there. I will simply be gayer and louder than ever as I wave my trans rights flag in the grand finals. I will get that. I will get to that quickly, but it says I want EVO, the administration, which is fucking crazy. And that financial, a lot of people explain the whole situation that they've helped the government allegedly. Projects backed or owned by the Saudi Arabian government, such as Kadia, are frequently criticized for helping the government engage in quote-unquote sports washing or using various forms of entertainment to cover up its record on human rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, military actions in Yemen, and more. And these and other criticisms have been highlighted by international watchdog groups such as Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch. And of course, some people are talking about the pronouns thing. That, in the third with sports watching. So here's my thing about this, and I'm gonna try to be as transparent as possible. So the best way I can explain this whole situation is I feel like it's a catch-22 with this. And the reason why is because I feel that there's this situation where the fighting game scene, while it's gotten more popular, I think the money is obviously not there. Then there's also the situation where the money's not there, but people want more exposure. And I think the esports investments from early on, where people were just literally throwing money at gaming, kind of clouded people's perceptions, because esports really, the money where that money was at was like Call of Duty and the Counter Strike stuff and 2K, and then it kind of those guys tried their hand in the fighting game community and realized like, oh, this costs a lot of money. The payouts aren't that good. It's not really much of a good investment, so we're gonna just stick to the actual sports side. And I feel like that kind of has muddied up everything since then because now you have more. Now these people come and think, yeah, I'm just gonna play these games and invest in it, and that's it. And I'm just gonna drop everything and become a professional game player, learn this game in a year, go to EVO, win a title, and get these contracts, and that's it. Whereas the money isn't as vast as people proclaim it to be. Now, on the other side of that, it's like, okay, the Saudis are literally playing in money. They're willing to throw money at anything, as we've seen. They've invested, they're in the boxing. They're in the, now they're in boxing. They're investing more money in gaming because now, like I said before, they've acquired like a good amount of SNK. They've dealt with Capcom to a degree. There's been fighting game tournaments there, where players have gone to Saudi Arabia to compete, and have had some reviews where it's like, oh, it was pretty cool. It wasn't. They just had some more money and the presentation was cool. And then there's some that have felt the way about just how it's been organized due to their prefaces and all of that good stuff. And I think it's a double-edged sword because the thing is that there has to be more when it comes to people putting more money into things. This, while it's not the right thing, it's unfortunately, to me, I feel like it's the norm for this, where people are not going to agree with it because now it's about the money. Now it's about, okay, how do we get these payouts up? How do we run these tournaments where we can get our money back and also pay these players out? Like it's a lot more complicated than people think that it's going to be. And that's the unfortunate dual-edged sword, catch-22, whatever simile or metaphor you want to call in regards to these companies, or mainly the Saudis, putting money into gaming where they are not the most progressive place. They're finally kind of sort of starting to let up on certain customs and certain things that involve genders and how they view sexuality and how they view certain things and so on and so forth. Whereas America, granted, United States of America, while the state of America is pretty fucked up right now, like let's be honest here, there's still some luxuries that America still has that are not really permitted in Saudi Arabia, such as this, as corrupt as the justice system is here. And some people are going to get mad at me for saying that, but there's still some type of due process in America, where in some of those countries out there ain't no due process. They just do how they feel, and that's it. So I think with this situation, while there'll be more money poured into EVO, and hopefully that goes to more of the players, and whoever wins the pots are a little bit better, I just think a lot of people, I don't want to say they're fear-mongering the Saudi thing, and I don't agree with it per se, how they view, because how they view different type of people depending on what their sexuality is or what their sexual preferences are or how they identify themselves, and so on and so forth, and things such as PDA they don't even allow out there too much. Now women are finally starting to get normal, decent human rights, such as being able to drive. If you've watched WWE, you've seen the men could be, shirt out, pants, showing all types of thighs and six packs and all that. But the women who wear in America, they're allowed to wear the type of wrestling gear that they wear, where they can show their bodies off and still wrestle. They can't do that over there. They either got to put a t-shirt on, or they got to throw on the full-on cat suits and wrestle in Saudi Arabia in full cat suits, because women are not allowed to show any type of skin aside from their face. And even that, you could barely show your face. You have to show your eyes, because that's just their customs. And I think that, yes, there is some fear-mongering a little bit to a degree. and a little bit of overreaction. Like everything in the FGC gets severely overreacted to because a lot of people don't go outside, and I don't mean I mean actually I literally mean don't go outside. Like they just play the game and don't know what's going on in society or don't tap into what's going on around them. They just they're just in their internet bubble and social media, just saying shit because they're behind a anime avi or a avi not of their face or themselves, and not really tapped into what's going on. So I just think with the Saudi thing, while it's great, they have money, and I'm gonna get into what Sonic Fox said because I understand what they're saying, but at the same time, you don't want to put that target on your back because there's a twofold thing to what's going on with that. But I just think it's a 50-50 thing of it's an overreaction because it's like you complain that you want more money pulled into the gaming community, yet when somebody, granted, it's not from the person you want, so it turns into this whole type of thing. And I don't agree with everything they're saying, but or what they believe in and their customs. I think women should just be able to do whatever. Women are not fucking subordinates anymore. Like this is 2025, where there are women who can carry the load of a household on their own, or have shown they can do that by working and doing just basic, decent human shit. And I just think, I don't agree with certain things, but that's for right now, neither here nor there. But I do want to get into what Sonic Fox said. And granted, I have my, I have my, how do I explain it? I have my grievances with Sonic Fox, and it's because of Sonic Fox the player. It's not because of Sonic Fox the human being and whoever Sonic Fox chooses to be with their pronouns or how they identify themselves. It doesn't matter with that because I'm not gonna do the whole. If you watch our pod, we have no issues with people. We have no issues with the LGBTQ community. We support them. We have fans of our podcast who are from from the community, fans who talk to us every day from that community, and we have a great rapport, and we love it, man. Like we be saying shout out like just because we say shout out Pride Month in June, that's not performative. Like we fuck with like shout out to the community, tied to the LGBTQ community. Now I'm gonna say this. Do I have grievances with how Sonic Fox plays games? Yes. Do I think Sonic Fox is a cornball? Yes, they can be at times. And I will say this. It doesn't matter if you are it doesn't matter what you identify as. It doesn't matter if you straight, gay, or they, or trans, or furry. Like, I don't care what you try identify yourself as or your pronouns. Whether you're he, she, they, you can still be a cornball. A cornball is a very gender and sexuality and preferential fluid term. Anybody could be a cornball, no matter who you are, what you identify yourself as. So, do I think Sonic Fox is a cornball? Yes, at times. Do I think Sonic Fox is doing a little too much with this tweet here? Yes, and I'm gonna read it. I have a personal life goal that I've been dedicating myself to when it comes to EVO, and I plan to see it through. I will not be erased, even if it means I'm the only voice there. I will simply be gayer and louder than ever as I wave my trans right flag in grand finals. I implore other allies that if they attend these events, that you wave these flags around too as much as you can. We, the LGBTQ plus community, are a core part of the FGC, and we aren't going anywhere, and this only motivates me to use my platform to amplify our voices even further. For all these, somebody says, for all these, I'm always a believer attacking from inside. Be vocal, make them uncomfortable. Use your winnings on charities and social programs. Okay, so I understand what Sonic Fox is saying here. And pardon me, I'm looking at this tweet, so pardon me here as I look at this. But I just feel like when it comes to this situation here, I think that, in my opinion, and as I fix this, so please pardon me, I feel like with this, I feel like it's a twofold thing because I'm all for having a voice and talking your shit, and being who you are as unapologetically as you can be. But then this is a twofold thing, because it's either if you go over there and you go waving the flag and stepping on their customs, they can eliminate you from tournaments. They may press criminal charges on you because they don't have due process and don't understand pronouns and all that good stuff. They don't have a full grasp and understanding of that. Like I said, they recently just started letting women drive cars right past the pandemic. And I feel like I feel like they're putting a target on their back, because the twofold thing is like, okay, you can say I'm gonna wave the flag and be vocal and be loud, and that's totally fine with that. I'm not knocking somebody for speaking up for what they believe in. That's amazing. Do what you do. I just think it looks bad in two ways, because if you go there, you're asking for it, because now you're putting the target on your back, like, oh, I'm gonna be an activist and this, that, and the third, and it's like, you don't really have to say this. If you've been acting like this since you have been in your playing career, then just keep doing you. You know? The other thing though is that if Sonic Fox goes to an event out there and is talking this, I'm gonna wave the flag and let my voice be heard and all this other shit, and then Sonic Fox is sitting there quiet as a church mouse or just conforming to the shit, you look bad. Because it can look bad, rather. Not like you look bad, but it can look bad, and the optics could look crazy, because it's one of two things. Either you're going to go out there and be either you're going to do too much, or you do nothing at all and you look bad either way. So it's not really just to shut up and dribble. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just think that you have to take a full grasp of everything that's going on, and then sit down and think, okay, how do I present myself where I could be myself, but also understand that I'm not here to step on anybody's toes at the same time. Like, I'm here to shake the table a bit, but not make sure one of the table legs falls on somebody's toes where they have to do something to me where I'm a disqualified or eliminated or whatever the situation, God forbid, happens to be, if Sonic Fox were ever to step into Saudi Arabia and play in a tournament. So I just think that sometimes, I just think about it this way, and this is my analogy on this, and I'll keep it at this. It's like, for me, I'm from New York City, and I moved out of New York City to where I live now. But I don't, and people do this when they move to New York, where it's like, when I moved to where I moved to, I understood where I'm from, I understand where I'm at, and I understand where I'm at is different than where I'm from. Now, granted, there are certain things that I still carry to this day of how to maneuver and move around, but I always remember I'm in another person's place. I'm in another neighborhood I'm not familiar with. There are people that were here before me, and there are things that I may not like all the way, but I have to understand these people were here before me, and they may not agree with everything I do, but you just understand that and take that for what it is, and maneuver the way you should. And I feel like with Sonic Fox, it would have to be a similar kind of fashion, where you go to Saudi and you can learn how to maneuver and still be yourself, but understand that you're not, you can't just walk in and plant the flag. You know what I'm saying? And then be like, oh, I'm doing this and all that. Because then you're going to look crazy. And then people are going to fucking say what they say about you. All types of stuff. All types of words and slurs and all type of crazy stuff. And, God forbid something happens. I'm not putting that on them or anything like that. Or they may tell Sonic Fox, hey, don't compete. Go back home. We don't want you at this tournament because of your rights or who you are and this, that, and the third. So I just think that when it comes to this, it's not even like a shut up and dribble type thing. It's just to understand who is buying the company, and how to figure out how to adapt. Because you can't adapt without with speaking up. Just because adapting doesn't mean that you get muzzled and that you can't talk. It's just hopefully Sonic Fox can understand like not to do too much. And I know somebody said like, man, Sonic Fox is at them doing some Jussie Smollett shit, which is fucking crazy. Like I'm not gonna go that far to say that, but I just feel like you don't gotta be like the performative rage bait outrage shit. I understand it because of the sports washing situation, and I understand the concerns about it. But you also got to look at the other way, where okay, they're doing the sports washing stuff, but how can I get my message across without stepping on the toes or trying to ruin anything, and not ruining it for everybody, not only for him for themselves, excuse me, but for everybody else. And that's just what I think about it. I just feel like I think it may work out money wise. We'll see. We're not gonna know anything because I don't think this deal starts until EVO, the main EVO, which is in June. But we'll see what happens. We don't know if they're gonna do more tournaments. This is a pretty new announcement. This announcement was literally September 2nd, and I was out of town, so there's that. But some people say what they say. Some people are like, hey, you'll still show up and take the money. You'll stay. You'll see. You're saying what you're saying, yet you're gonna still take their money. Somebody says I hate to say this, but unfortunately, shit like this is what the Saudi ownership wants. They want people to think they're more accepting now. Unless there's genuine criticism, they don't care. Which could be true. I mean, maybe it's just a situation. Unless you just don't criticize it. You know what I mean? Some people think also, it could be something where like they'll see Sonic Fox and then, ferry Sonic Fox around like, shit is sweet over there, but meanwhile they have issues with, the LGBTQ community, which I don't know. I just feel like there's rightful criticism or rightful concerns, but I just think that some people are just going way too much for this. And it's cool that Saudi Arabia is throwing the money at everybody. I think that's really dope. And hopefully, like the EVO payout is bigger, and it works for what it works. And it works for the players, of course, because you want the players to get paid. I just think that this twofold situation with Sonic Fox saying what they're saying and what Tom Brady's saying, what he's saying in regards to the EVO not having the money, I think both are valid concerns. I just feel like when it comes to gaming, you have to think about it like sports. Like there's sports dreams, and then it comes to a point where you're like, okay, I'm not gonna make it in sports, and I have to deviate or figure out a backup plan. I think a lot of people with gaming, because they see that there's more eyes on it, that the money's better, and it's like that's not really the case. That's not really the case right now. Like the money is there, the money can be there, but you have to grind a lot more. Some people it's a net zero, where yeah, you're getting paid these contracts, but then when you gotta fly out, and then if you don't finish, and then food and all the other expenses that come with traveling, like it kind of evens itself out, and it gets to a point where it's like, am I really making this money? Am I really doing something with this? You know what I mean? So I just think that it's not as, when it comes to this EVO acquisition and just gaming in general, there's a reason why like people are trying to warn you, like, hey, if you're gonna get this bread, really the top 0.1% are the ones who there's people that you see all the time, in comparisons and everything, but they might not even be the ones getting the most money. It's the 0.1% that are getting the actual money and are making a net positive and have been able to fortunately make this an actual career, just like the NBA. It's like in the NBA. There's so many great players around the world, but in the NBA, there's only 450. It's 450 of the greatest basketball players in the world, which accounts to like point. It's like a point zero. I don't know, one, whatever the fuck the percentile is. But the NBA, like, think about gaming like the NBA. there's 450 players, and maybe there's 50 players, 40 to 50, that are making like top end money, and everybody else is making like decent money where they're getting by and cool. So I just think you got to think about it that way. Like if you're willing to put it all, cool, but just have a backup plan just in case. Because if this gaming shit don't work and you broke, don't blame it on nobody else. It's on you. You're the one playing the tournament. You're the one booking the flights and doing what you got to do. Yeah, there's teams for that, but those teams are really going to invest their money into those 0.1% of players, like your punks and your Shao Highs and your Arslan Ash and so on and so on and Sonic Fox and so on and so on and so forth and so forth. So I just think a lot of people really need to understand what it is in regards to gaming and how much of an investment this shit is. And also when it comes to the Saudi thing, understanding these are new people that are investing in it and actually seeing and learning how to adapt instead of just doing this I'm gonna plant the flag shit and look at me, because it might look bad for you. Like don't talk about being an activist or doing what you want to do. Just be it and stay on the road of doing what you want to do. So like I said again, best of luck to Sonic Fox, and anybody in the community with that situation, because I think there is an issue in regards to how the LGBTQ community gets, treated in gaming and just people in general. Because people just don't understand or weaponize, their issues or pronouns and so on and so forth. So I just think it's a lot of that type of stuff that really needs to get cleaned up, and just letting people fucking play the game, bro. Like that's what we here for. Now, granted, I know some people do that. Oh, we're just trying to game shit, and they do that because they're scared to talk about what's going on. But you just have to find. There's people that just don't understand the duality or the balance of trying to find that sweet spot where it doesn't matter where you are, who you are, where you from. Motherfuckers just want to play the game. They just want to get on the game. They want to play, be cool with people, and go home. And to not go to divert too much before I get into this gameplay and we play some Shinobi for a little bit. It's also that too of people saying outlandish shit and outrageous stuff and then not understanding, people are able to say all they want to say because they're behind the anime haven't got punched in the face yet. So I just think there's just a lot of outrage and just overreaction to all of this stuff. But at the same time, there are people who have rightful concerns. Because even like seeing people like Chris G talk about it. Chris G's like, I'm a guy who gets contracts and I'm a top gamer. Yet, I'm telling you, as somebody who's been in the FGC for 20 years competing at a top level, whether it was Guilty Gear, he's competed in a bunch of different games. And even he's like, you should be concerned with that. So I just think that people really need to understand, like, read into what's going on with EVO and the Saudi Arabia situation without fucking overreacting first, and also understanding when it gets to this gaming stuff how treacherous and cutthroat the gaming industry could be. Now take it from somebody who is an absolute just fan and is a damn casual. Trust me, as somebody who just pays attention to the tweets and sees how people talk about these games and everything of that nature, I just think there's a twofold thing of knowing the risks and knowing whether you can take those risks or not. Because, like I said, it's like the NBA. There's so many people in this damn world who play basketball, and there's only 450 people who can make the NBA and be on an NBA roster. So, just think about that. You know what I mean? That's all there is to it. But, anywho, I figured we just wrap this up. Like I said, I'm gonna be here for like maybe another 20, 25 minutes. Play some Shinobi. Have not played some Shinobi I haven't played Shinobi in a very long time. I've heard nothing but good things about Shinobi so far. And I've been interested. I was looking at the previews. This is one of the games I have recently purchased. So, I bought this. I bought Ninja Gaiden, which I want to play on here. I bought Power Rangers. Power Rangers was like $20. I figured that's a nice little pick up and play type of game. Um, what else did I buy? That's pretty much it. And then, with Fatal Fury, I played as Ken, a little after EVO before my vacation when I had a little bit of time to kill. I thoroughly enjoyed Ken. It's weird enough with Fatal Fury. Ken weirdly plays like, Third Strike Ken. Whereas with SF6 is a little bit different, but I enjoy what SNK and Capcom are doing with their collabs. With how Ken is playing, I'm looking forward to seeing how Chun-Li plays. And I definitely want to get back online with Fatal Fury. Definitely playing as Andy and Ken. Andy Bogart and Ken, who I've had fun playing as both of them briefly so far. But I'm definitely going to play more of the collections and get back into those and lock in. But most importantly, too, with the Mortal Kombat collection, while we're here, actually, let me pull that up because I think a lot of people are really overreacting to this too, because the Mortal Kombat community is very strange. It's like either, and I'm gonna look at the list here. So let me just make sure my screen is up before I get into this. Let me put this back up. All right. I'm gonna cut my camera. Okay, actually no, they can see everything here. All right. So as you see, it says experience the ultimate historical compilation of legendary Mortal Kombat titles. So as you can see from the list, the original Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat Vanilla, Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat 4, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Mortal Kombat Advanced Deadly Alliance and Tournament Edition, which are Game Boy games. And the last two games are Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero and Mortal Kombat Special Forces. So, there's been a lot of news coming out. A lot of people have been asking for certain games. And a lot of people, I'm going to be honest, a lot of people don't fucking read. And a lot of people don't fucking pay attention. And I'm sorry for cursing, but I'm going to tell you why. They said the arcade era, right? Now, do I understand? Does it sound a little strange? Because when you saw Deadly Alliance, the Tournament Edition, I'm okay, why are Game Boy games here? But from seeing the Ninja Turtles collection, from the Cowabunga collection, and just seeing these collections in general, Game Boy games are actually more of the easier games to port. So I'm honestly pleasantly surprised that Mortal Kombat Trilogy is on here and Mortal Kombat 4 is on here. Because for people who don't really pay attention to the collection, which is most of you people on the internet who act like you know stuff and don't know nothing, these collections, we have just recently in the last year or two have gone to a time where PlayStation games and Dreamcast games are finally being ported or being able to be put in collections, like with Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And yes, I know it was back in 2013 when Capcom did it. It's because Capcom has the rights. There's that as well. And I think a lot of people don't understand. And Digital Eclipse has really tried to explain this without saying much until recently. And I'll get into that interview, but there's a lot of legalities and legalese and just technology that these game companies don't have the access to yet. This is not just, okay, I have a system with Dolphin and PSCX or whatever, like the PlayStation emulator, and Final Burn Neo and MAME, where it's like, okay, all we got to do is just download a couple ROMs, test them, and then put them in this collection. That is not how these things work, because what happens is that these companies have to go to the companies who made the game and get the clearance. Then they have to go to the actual companies for the systems that these games were ported to, such as Sega, Nintendo, Sony, etc., etc., etc. Which is why some of these versions have not made the system. Also, a couple of these games have never been ported yet. Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which has been confirmed by Digital Eclipse, they've confirmed that the PlayStation 1, it's pretty much the PlayStation 1 version modded, which is to cut the load times, which is to cut the load times, speed up certain parts. Shang Tsung's morphs, they don't load. Like a bunch of little incremental things that can make the gameplay experience as close to as if Mortal Kombat Trilogy was an arcade port as possible, which I'm totally okay with and I enjoy. That's great for me because I actually had both the PlayStation and the N64 version. I bought the N64 version years down the line, but I've had the PlayStation version since I was a kid. Like, I still have my physical MK trilogy. Now, with Sub Zero and Special Forces, I don't care for these games per se. Special Forces is ass, from what I've seen. I've never played the game, but I know the game is garbage. And with Mythology Sub Zero, gameplay wise, Mythology Sub Zero is indeed a 2-pack of ass. But what I will say that is with Mythology Sub Zero is that Mythology Sub Zero did rather, excuse me, I didn't know between does or did. At the time for when the game came out, it actually did an incredible job of story. In regards to like specific lore, it actually is one of the better. It actually is one of the better. And at that time, it was the best game that spoke about a storyline. Because yes, MK1, yes, it had a storyline, but like it wasn't a storyline. Yeah, fighting games didn't really have storylines. Mortal Kombat 2 expands a bit. Mortal Kombat 3 did expanded a bit too. But like Mythology Sub-Zero really was focused on the storyline with getting the elements, Sub-Zero going down to the Netherrealm. It really expanded on the Sub-Zero Scorpion rivalry, feud, beef, whatever you want to call it, which they did an incredible job with that. Even though the videos and the cutscenes are corny, yes, but Mythology Sub-Zero, I will always give credit for the story. It's actually an incredible story. It's really great, and it was the first time where they actually expanded the story. Things made sense, and elements of the story were used in later games. Granted, there's some things retcon or storyline holes that are a little weird, such as Sub-Zero in his MK1 Mortal Kombat story. It says that he's sent to the tournament to kill Shang Tsung, but then with Mythology Sub-Zero, I'm not spoiled, but the game came out 27 years ago. If you need, you could just Google this, but pretty much at the end of it, Sub-Zero gets the amulet. Sub-Zero tries to get the 4 elements and tries to get the amulet, and then Shang Tsung is there at the end. And then Shang Tsung invites him to the Mortal Kombat tournament, which he accepts. In front of the Lin Kuei Grandmaster. So there's like that. There's a little bit of retcon holes like that, but of course, confirming that Sub-Zero did not indeed kill Scorpion's family. It was Quan Chi who deceived him into that whole situation. Like, there's a whole bunch of storyline stuff that's really good with that. So I understand why. The Deadly Alliance Tournament Edition for Game Boy, like I said before, I don't care for them. I think the Game Boy Advance games for the most part are ass. Except for Deadly Alliance Tournament Edition, but I guess they're easy to port, so they threw them in there just because I don't know, had to get rid of some storage. Of course, my light just died on me. Oh, there we go. But I'm not sure as to why this situation with this, why they needed that. We did not need that. But the one thing I want to say is that these people came online complaining, and literally Digital Eclipse said from the beginning, hey, this game is for the arcade era. The arcade era is up to Mortal Kombat 4 and everything around it. The 3D era of MK is Deadly Alliance, Shadow Monks, Deception, Armageddon. Right? It's that era. The arcade era is all these games that are mentioned up here. As my light is dying, so please forgive me. I'm about to fix the lighting really quick, but there is that part that just doesn't make any sense at all as to why these people say what they say. And I think it's just people just complain and just complain. People wanted Mortal Kombat Gold. That game is fucking cracked out and janky. The fact that they're getting MK4 on here is kind of a miracle. I'm not going to lie to you. Because with MK4, people were like, wait, they were able to get this on here? Like, And from what I, if you really want to get a whole scope of what games made it and didn't make it and why, I would suggest looking at MK Secrets. There's a dude by the name that's MK Secrets. I'm sorry, which is a long running forum site. And he was able to interview Daniel Emrich from Digital Eclipse. Excuse me. Who y'all would know? Who was also known, if you were a GamePro reader, Dan Electro, which I did not know he worked for Digital Eclipse, but he actually was very detailed. And MK Secrets did a great job interviewing, saying, "Hey, why isn't this on here? Why isn't that on here?" And I would suggest watching it. It's in audio but on YouTube, but it's about like an hour and a half. It's like a little over an hour. I forgot how long exactly it is, but Dan Emmerich gets very detailed onto why certain games made it and why certain didn't, and he explains the legalities and all of that, where pretty much the technology they have was best for the PlayStation 1 version of MK Trilogy, and when they don't have the technology to emulate MK Gold yet. And mind you, MK Gold isn't even that good of an emulation on the Dreamcast, emulator. Same goes for MK4, which he pretty much said they're 90% done on emulating. So I would not be surprised if this doesn't come out till later in the year, around the holidays, because they're in the process of finalizing little things that when they saw on other emulators, such as MAME and so on and so forth, when the emulation wasn't perfect, they're trying to iron that out. But he goes into the WaveNet version of UMK3, which I think is pretty cool, because I did not know that game was actually believe it or not, it's actually the final version of UMK3. And for people who don't know what WaveNet is, pretty much I think it's called like Williams Arcade Video Entertainment Network or something like that. I think that was the acronym. But pretty much it was a word of mouth thing where it was pretty much arcades with internet capabilities on them. And pretty much you can put your name on a leaderboard and play people online through the arcade leaderboards, but it was only specifically location tested in Chicago, where Midway is based out of, San Francisco, and I think New York. And they did a Mortal Kombat 3 version, and then they did a UMK3 version. But when they were looking at those versions, there's only been maybe hundreds of people who have played that version of that game, because it was very specific and more so word of mouth. And the only people who really talked about it were people who were like on forum sites back in the day, like in the 90s. Which that was in the genesis of forum sites. Like literally, the WaveNet version of UMK3 was considered lost media. Ketchup and Mustard did it. Shout out to Ketchup and Mustard, who I really like their Mortal Kombat content. They did like a lost media video discussing it. And another guy, his name was Fairway, I think his name is like Fairway X or X Fairway. And he brought it up too. And the fact that like within a couple months they were able to get that version and find it is pretty cool. Because it is the final version of UMK3 that was not really played much by many people. For one, it's mentioned with that version the notable revisions were that Noob Saibot's a playable character, that's the only game he was a fully playable character in UMK3. All he has is like the teleport slam and a couple combos, and that's it. So there's that. And then they fixed some infinite. So like Striker's gun infinite got fixed, where I think you can only do it like twice. I forgot exactly what it was. Oh, you would get a message reading up on it. It was like you would get a message on the screen telling you that you cannot do the infinite anymore. Cabal's Nomad Dash got nerfed, because Cabal is the best character in all of the MK3 games. MK3, UMK3 trilogy. Cabal is fucking OD. From what I've seen, like with people who actually played the game competitively. But with Cabal, the Nomad Dash got slowed down, and it made like an exploding type of sound. Like it makes like a weird sound when you do it. And then another one was Kung Lao's spin, because that was an infinite as well, where you could keep doing the spin uppercut and just extend combos. And I think it's after 2 or 3 spins you can't do it anymore, so the infinite gets killed, and a bunch of other little nerfs here and there. But I just think that people were expecting too much. Like they told you it was the arcade area. People are like, "Where's Deception?" And it's like, it's the arcade area. Where's the MK Gold? Well, could Digital Eclipse have presented things better? Absolutely. But I just think like with MK Gold, I just feel like it was a situation where the only Dreamcast games we know that have gone ported successfully were Power Stone and a couple other spot ones here and there, and that's just because the companies who ported it were the companies who had the rights to the game and already had the systems and the technology to emulate them. Whereas Digital Eclipse doesn't have that yet. Like we're just now getting into the era where, unless it's an arcade game, like PlayStation 1 games and Dreamcast games, like what's that, 5th gen, 6th gen? Pardon me for that, for the gen. I'm not sure the gen number. But those generation of games are finally starting to get ported. And I think people need to just understand that. It's as simple as this. And they said it even though they have not been super consistent on what they've said. They have literally told you, if you support this one, it's going to help us with the next one. So just go out and get this and support it. Now, I would say get the digital version because limited run games, I don't trust them. But that's just me being a consumer. Just my personal thought. But I just see all these, man, I just see all of these people. While I close this and about to start this game, I see all of these like content creators from Mortal Kombat, like these dudes who didn't say shit about Mortal Kombat 1, like throwing stones and getting hissy fits about the Legacy Collection. And it's like they told, at least Digital Eclipse told you what was up and explained why they couldn't get it, and y'all are just here complaining. So people complain what they want to complain about. Again, selective outrage and all this good stuff. I was just suggest, man, play what you want to play, love what you love, and that's all I got to say about it. But without further ado, let's get into the Shinobi, man. We're going to play about, like, give or take 20, 30 minutes, and then I'm going to wrap this stream up. But appreciate y'all for tapping in for sure. I'm going to just cut my camera briefly. I'm going to start the game.
The end. The one fate that awaits us all. For every beginning, there is a conclusion. For every birth, there must be a death. A once peaceful land was quickly seized and terrorized by the paramilitary organization ENE Corps. Enacting a large-scale multi-front invasion, they conquered armies across the world in little time. All this was accomplished thanks to the unquenchable ambitions of a single man named Lord Ruse. As he struck down each of his opponents with unbelievable power, the world fell into despair. Only one threat to Ruse and ENE Corp remains, the Oboro clan, led by the legendary Joe Musashi. Throughout history, the Oboro clan has protected humanity from many calamitous threats. They would stop at nothing to destroy ENE Corp. However, the cunning Ruse is already well aware of the Oboro, their capabilities, and their location.
Hello, dear. Beautiful morning, isn't it? The warm breeze is especially nice. I can only hope it's this lovely on our son's blessed day. Well, your students can't become ninjas without you. Off you go. I'll be fine.
Sure, alright. So we got shurikens. We got a dive kick? Okay, alright. Alright. Did I just throw my shurikens out? I sure did.
Sensei, I know you're busy leading the clan and all, but some of the class is struggling with that move you showed us. I mean, not me. But if you show me how it's done, I'll be sure to pass it on to the rest so we can do the Oboro clan justice. I'll be waiting at the far end of the field.
Try. Okay. This is very Streets of Rage 4-ish.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Ooh, a pretty flower.
Don't come any closer.
I am just one of
No,
many
no.
who serve Lord Ruse. Your whole clan dies today.
What?
Once the Oboro clan's out of the picture, nothing can stop Ieni Corp from taking over the world. Say your prayers. I'm going to deliver your heads to Lord Ruse personally. I shall strike you dead. Stand a chance.
He said they're here for the whole clan? Sensei, we have to hurry to the dojo.
You just sealed your fate.
Alright, this is very... This is very Streets of Rageous, and I love it. Oh, cool. Oh, oh! Nah, that was hard. All right, this is fun. I'm having fun here. Get some currents.
There's too many of them. I don't know if I can.
That's like my special attack. Your attacks build up execution gauges, which shown below enemy health bars. When one is successful, you can perform a Shinobi exhibition. When the symbol appears above an enemy, execute them by pressing L1 then R1. Executing enemies earns you bonus rewards. The more enemies executed simultaneously, the greater the rewards. Kunai and heavy attacks build up execution gauges faster.
Right, no, I understand.
What was it?
As much as I want to help, I don't want to hold you back. I know. I'll go to your house and protect Naoko. You hurry to the dojo before it's too late for the other students.
Is this another stage? Oboro Village. Oh. Oh, this is tough. Press down plus X to drop down past the platform. New ability acquired. Fire Ninpo. Ignite enemies with a blast of fiery death, deals heavy damage. Alright. Okay. Ninpo are powerful magic attacks you can perform by entering in distance with L1 then pressing a corresponding button. Each Ninpo attack consumes a Ninpo cell. Fill your Ninpo cells by successfully attacking enemies. Alright, good to know.
That's it. You'll regret facing it.
Oh shit.
Got you. Let's see who comes out on top.
No, that's not what I wanted to do, but okay.
Another Oboro, ripe for the culling. Steal your soul, Shinobi. Soon you will join the rest of your clan.
Dark attacks are both uninterruptible and undodgeable. They can be identified by a purple aura around the enemy. They are overwhelmingly powerful, so when you see one coming, get out the way. So how the hell do you grab that thing there? I'm about to... Oh, I'm just making sure I did this right. Oh, fuck me. Okay, interesting. Press R1 right after hitting an enemy to perform a ninja flip. This allows you to dodge and reposition yourself during fights. If you attack with square during the ninja flip, you can start with a new combo. So, alright, pretty cool. Alright, cool. Let me get that here. While jumping toward a wall, keep holding X as you land to run up the wall. Okay. Alright. Uh, okay, so I guess. You can see the map of the current stage by pressing the trackpad. Various obstacles or secrets are added to the map as you encounter them. Cool. Cool. So, all right. Well, I think we've done more than enough tonight. It was a good stream, so I appreciate y'all for tapping in. This is a good, stream just to get my bearings back. It's about an hour and a half, but again, appreciate y'all for supporting. I will be on here more often playing these types of games. Definitely gonna continue with Shinobi. I've only played maybe 20 minutes, and I'm enjoying it so far. But otherwise, man, appreciate y'all for tapping in. And, you know, ain't no much else to do it but to, you know, get that done, man. And otherwise, we will see you next time on Show Your Work Network. We out of here. Appreciate y'all. And we out.